Hey, Scott from mygrowthrings.com here. That's not a thing yet, but with me is Tom from Woodshop Nerdery. If you don't know, Tom has a very popular YouTube channel, at least in the realm of woodworking and woodworking with shopsmith tools, and recently had a surprise announcement for us. And so I asked Tom to join me here so we can have a little discussion about that and all things going on in his life. But let's just start off by saying, Tom, what's wrong with you? No, serious. What was your announcement?
Well, thanks for the introduction, Scott. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here. In my last video, I announced that I'm ending the Woodshop Nerdery, so I have no plans of releasing any new videos to that channel. I may post an update. I think I promised one update on a picture of the final chair that I was building when I ended the channel. So you may see something in the community tab, but you won't see any new videos on that channel.
Now, you and I, just real quickly, you and I have chatted back and forth, and you were talking about how you're getting people ending their subscription, right? Subscription, whatever you call that, canceling their subscription.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind. If you don't put out another video, then they're not going to see another one in their stream. And what does it hurt to stay subscribed in case you do put out a video? I don't get that.
Well, I actually have the opposite opinion. I'm surprised more people haven't unsubscribed. I think when you have a big list of subscribers and you go to your homepage, YouTube is obviously going to show you some of those subscriptions, but they're also going to show you what they want to show you.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard enough. There's a lot of work that a viewer has to do to find the content they want to watch as it is. Right. So I could see that a strategy that people would use would be to groom their subscription list, that if people aren't releasing new videos, they want to keep that subscription list groomed down. What I find bizarre is when I look at my statistics for that video, the subscriber count, I immediately lost 10 subscribers. And then I gained back 20 subscribers a few hours later. That grew. So I gained and lost. That I according to this, it looks like I lost about 12 and gained about 18. So it's very interesting how people reacted to that being the last video.
Did you get anybody thinking that you were pulling their leg, that this was just clickbait?
Nobody accused me of that. I have seen other I quit YouTube video. Yes. I'm quitting YouTube. I'm making my I quit video. And then, 2 weeks later, you see another video from that same person.
Right.
And you don't know if that was a genuine sentiment at the time, and maybe that drama generated all sorts of views that bolstered their confidence and they came back at it. Yeah. Or if they never planned to quit and it was all a pre-planned kind of gimmick. You just don't know. But I knew when I was going to make the last video, I knew I had seen that happened to other people, and that I was prepared that even if I got a great response on this one video, it wasn't going to be a change in my mind, right? It could have been 1 million views, right?
So I don't want to give it away because I think people should watch it, but there is something of a symbolic closing of the channel, which I thought, well, that was classy, but you also could have sold those on eBay.
Sold.
Now you're not selling your shopsmith tools, are you? They're not already out at the curb. You're going to continue to be a woodworker and continue to use shopsmith tools. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I think something to understand about my channel is that it is a second hobby. My first hobby is woodworking, and the channel was never intended to be a how-to. It was never intended to find the hottest topic and get the most views. The way the channel worked is I decided what I wanted to do as a woodworking project. I did that project and I turned on the camera at the same time.
Right.
So if I wanted to make craft projects for a Christmas gift, that's what I did, and that's what I recorded. And a lot of that content did not do well, right? Those project videos were not very well watched. I mean, some of those, the woodworking videos that are strictly, woodworking project, woodworking progress updates.
Yeah.
Those are getting 150 views over, after 12 months and something like that.
Some of the big woodworking channels, Bob Claggett, right? I like to make stuff, and those guys all say that their project videos suck.
Yep, that's a phenomenon.
It's a shame, because we all say we want to watch them, but then do we watch them?
Yeah, and do we see them in our feed? Because I think with the way YouTube works, they want to keep you on the platform as long as possible. So they're going to, you do a search on, woodworking on a shopsmith, let's say, into the search, it's going to show you 10 results that match that. And then the next 10 are going to be other things
Something
that they're trying to push on you. And to actually get to your search results, you actually have to scroll way down.
Right.
And keep scrolling, because every 10 or so videos, they're going to give you a different topic that they think you might like, that is, in their opinion, more popular. So it's not, you're really not in control of the search. So it's not only are people watching them, can they find them?
Right.
Are they even presented with them? And I think what's really going on is that the really popular videos cut across really three related but distinct groups of people. One is woodworkers. Two are tool guys, right? Guys who are interested in learning about or owning tools or purchasing tools. And that's a hobby in and of itself. And it's a legit hobby. No judgment here, but there are folks who are going to research and buy tools that they really don't intend to use very much, right?
Yep.
Their hobby is collecting those tools, even if it's a brand new tool, rather than an antique. And then there are sort of the looky-loos, right? The people who are going to go there for either comedy or drama, or some people love to watch rant videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if you could create a video that interests all three of those people, those three of those groups, then that's going to be your highest view count. Two of those three groups are not interested in watching me build a project.
It really is sad, but you're right.
Well, let's look at our John Malecki responses. That is my best performing recent video. Let me see where I'm at with that one. Where is it?
So that would fall under drama.
Well, I think it hits all three, and that's
comedy.
Well, let's see here. Where did it go?
I'm going to bring up mine. Best performing for the last 90 days. Let's see what's at the top. No, it's not in the, well, maybe I sorted that wrong. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Top videos the last 90 days with a bullet. It was the Malecki response, followed by a video that's probably 2 years old.
Right, which had a lot of time to accumulate those views. So mine.
No, I'm saying in the last 90 days, that 2-year-old video has performed better than all but the Malecki video during those 90 days.
Gotcha.
It's a great video, Tom. You should watch it.
Which one is it?
The Jack the Stripper.
Oh yeah. I remember that one. Yeah, so I've got close to 10,000 views on that video. The other ones that are in that view range are more than a year old, so they've had time to accumulate those views over time. So the John Malecki response video was really about a tool, right? It was a tool guy video. it had drama. So it's going to attract that looky-loo crowd. And fundamentally, it is about woodworking, because we're talking about woodworking safety and woodworking techniques and whether or not this particular tool is good for woodworking. So I think it kind of cut across all three of those audiences and garnered that interest.
Yeah.
Um,
And don't discount titles and thumbnails. I mean, my top video on another channel that was my corncob pipe business channel, my top video by a mile was partially because of the thumbnail, just me kind of framed about like this.
mhm.
And it said, "No pipe for you."
Okay.
And somebody had sent me an email basically demanding a free pipe.
Oh,
And it's like, what are you talking about? You know, if you want to get into pipe smoking and you can't afford a corncob pipe, you can't afford anything you would possibly want to smoke in it. But it was a tremendous thumbnail, I have to admit, and
well,
it was a little bit of a rant,
it was a rant, and it sounded like it had a little element of drama to that.
a little bit.
And I think there are folks who watch that type of content regardless of the topic.
Yeah.
And that feeds the algorithm, and YouTube is under the impression that other woodworkers want to see it.
So you're telling me that the reason why my homepage had a classic commercial for the K-Tel Popeil Pocket Fisherman, that has to do with people like me who watch things that I watch, also wanted to see the Popeil Pocket Fisherman.
Right.
I guess I have no doubt that that's true.
Yeah, they made a correlation. You know,
So funny.
The all the videos that you have watched, YouTube thinks it knows who you are. It has a profile of you. And when someone with a similar profile watches a video, it thinks that you may also want to watch that video.
I watched it. Now I want to buy one. I need to go on eBay.
Oh boy.
So what are you going to do with yourself? I mean, I know what you went through in the production of those videos. You took a project that was taking you hours and hours on end and made it at least 3 times longer of a process by positioning a camera and doing retakes and all that. I mean, what are you going to do with all your time now?
Well, I think my woodworking projects will go a lot faster.
Yeah.
I do need to take a break from woodworking for a month or two. We have I have twin girls. They're going to be seniors in high school, and we are going on college tours, and they are, you know, getting jobs, and we got to figure out how to purchase a third car for the family, which is difficult to find a car at this time. So we've got a lot going on in the next couple months. And also my one of my daughters is in marching band, and marching band season is kicking up here. And that's a lot of weekends I like to go to her performances and the football games. You know, they perform at halftime.
Yeah.
So that does take up some time in the fall. And I really have let some kind of, you know, household chores, you know, sort of the little home improvement stuff that you got to get done around the house, kind of let that go pretty much for 2 years while I was doing the channel. And you know, maybe that'll roll into a future channel idea. Maybe as I catch up on those projects, I'll, you know, clearly all the woodworking equipment and all the woodworking skills will pay dividends on those projects.
But you see that as a different
record it.
channel, a different channel. Is that right?
Well, the main reason that's a different channel is because, well, let me explain. You know, I explained that the Woodshop Nerdery was really a blog, right? I was doing what I wanted to do, doing some of these dream projects like the 1899 Wright Brothers kite. I'd been wanting to build that since the Wright Brothers, you know, 200th anniversary.
Right. Back in 2003.
15 years, well, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20, you know, or something like that. I remember seeing that Nick Engler video and that Nick Engler plan on the internet 20 years ago. Yeah. Oh, one of these days I'm going to build that. I've always wanted to build a Stickley style furniture of something. I did that. I've been wanting to own some of these Han Wegner chairs, these folding rope chairs. I've been wanting to own those, oh gosh, for 25 years. I think I saw one in a thrift store 25 years ago. Unfortunately, a friend of mine bought it before they snagged it up. And I thought, oh man, I got to find another one of those. Those are cool. And I got to build one. So I've been, doing these dream projects.
Yeah.
And I'm just turning on the camera, recording that. I didn't do those projects designed to get the views, but also I'm going all over the place here. Let me try to get this
Okay,
back.
Tom.
So,
no, keep it a little bit off track. It's very exciting.
Okay. So the Woodshop Nerdery was a concept that it was a blog, and the other part of the concept was it would be non-commercial. So no matter what, I wouldn't click the monetize button. So my apply for monetization button is still unclicked as of today.
Right.
I wouldn't ask for Patreon. I wouldn't put in affiliate links. I wouldn't do any of those things. And I never intended to do it indefinitely. This was not something I, said, oh, I'll do this for the rest of my life. I had
the channel.
I said, this will be a demonstration of how someone could do something like this, because there was a time when, about 2 years ago, people were becoming more and more commercial, like the Stumpy Nubs channel and some of these others, had always been commercial, but they've sort of really leaned into it with lots of all the little tricks and gizmos.
Brought to you by Squarespace, by the way.
Yeah, Squarespace and purple mattress delivery and micro jig, all that kind of stuff. And the way when people would criticize or critique or sort of complain, they would say, you have to do this. I don't want to do this. I have to. So part of me was wanting to prove that, no, you don't. Those folks quit their jobs, right? And decided to make their income this business, which YouTube's a big part of. So they have to, for sure, right?
Yes.
But that doesn't, they really don't have to, right? They didn't have to. I was never trying to build something that, I could quit my job and be independent. I love my job. I don't want to quit it for anything. So, but at the same time, while I was kind of proving them wrong, I was also proving them right. Because, well, you and I have had this discussion. The way to extend the conversation about how YouTube recommends videos, they measure viewer activity, right? So a view is a type of activity, a like, a dislike, a comment, a like on a comment, a share, but also a subscription to the channel subscription.
That's right.
The paid channel subscription, but also clicking links in the comments is an activity.
Yeah. However, that takes them off the platform. So who knows? Clicking on that Amazon affiliate link might harm a channel. Which is part of the reason why they now have their own little sales shelf that they're offering for folks to use.
I've noticed those sales shelves popping up on videos, and I think, like, for some people that I'm willing to look at that. Let's look at Workshop Companion. Nick is selling his books there. I own the digital copy of all 67 of those books. So I think that's a great product. And I think someone like Nick, who is a true master, it's worth it, right? Right. The value proposition is there because he has so much of that knowledge. There's other folks who are kind of like amateurs like me. What's the value proposition? Right. So folks who are are amateur, who are really students of woodworking, and I'm proud to say that I'm a student of woodworking, are dressing themselves up as masters of woodworking, right? Because, you know, why would you come and buy a cutting board book from an amateur or a student, right? You need to be a master to sell that, or at least present yourself as a master. So anyway, so, you know, part of what I'm thinking about is really to have an impact, like the impact I wanted to have on the community. I would need to compete with the other channels in terms of that user activity, but I've walled myself off from any of those measurements.
Right.
So there's I never asked for subscribers. I think in like 2 videos I asked people to click the subscribe button. Maybe 3. So I'm not engaging in those activities. So I'm never going to have a fair shot at getting the content out to.
Yeah, you're not going to get put on the home page.
No.
Yeah, you're not.
Right, because it's just not generating those algorithm triggers, because I've decided not to participate in 50% of the platform.
I think about that with shorts. The same reason. I have no interest in watching shorts. I have no interest in producing shorts. YouTube clearly wants us to produce shorts.
Right.
So by not participating, do they say, well, you're not going to participate? We'll see how that works for you.
Well, I don't think they're intentionally punishing anybody for not creating shorts, but short is now a metric that is going to play into whether or not your video gets shown. They say that past video performance doesn't impact new video performance, except they turn around and say in the next sentence that whether or not your video gets shown to someone depends on if they have watched one of your other videos.
Right.
So by logic, if 1 million people watched a previous video on your channel, that's going to impact how many people get recommended your next video.
Sure.
Right. Shorts are interesting because the way you scroll through it, right, on the platform, you're watching all of those videos. You may scroll off of them really quickly.
Yes.
But I don't know how long you have to pause on that video before
I think it's less than a second. They count it as a watch.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
So you're getting that exposure that may help your next long format video.
But it helps only if the people that they're showing it to are the people that would appreciate your content. If suddenly they're served up your content and they watch a few seconds of it and say, what is this? And they click away, that doesn't help. Or worse, they subscribe and they never watch again.
Right. Yeah. So if you have subscribers who are presented on their homepage your video and they never click, that makes it less likely that the people who are interested in your content are going to even see it, even know about it. So you know, from a hobby, so what I've learned is from a hobbyist perspective, YouTube is not the right machine. This machine is a commercial engine. It is fine-tuned and honed and dialed in for commercial activity. So I think my next channel will have to be a monetized commercial channel. And so now the question becomes, how do I do that ethically? Because right now on the platform, what I'm seeing is it's the Wild West. There are very little rules or guidelines about what you can and can't do. Let's look at the John Malecki video as an example. And he's not out of step with the rest of the community. He's right in line with that clickbait type title.
Yes.
That thumbnail card in and of itself was I'll use his word. He used the word atrocity in that video. It's an atrocity of misinformation. It is intentional, intentionally misinforming people, and the thumbnail's still up there. I think you pointed out that he changed it,
but it still shows the old one too. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but if
yeah,
you
sometimes
some views, you get a different one, different view.
Well, he may be A/B testing.
Could be.
Right. So there's what is it? Tuber, or what's the
Well, YouTube is about to start offering it, so they may be allowing some channels to use it.
Yeah, so he may be doing
so TubeBuddy and
TubeBuddy.
vidIQ, one of those two do the A/B testing.
Yeah, so they may be using AI to show the thumbnail at different times to see which one generates the best click through.
Yeah.
And so he may have two thumbnails on the platform. But they're both equally misleading.
Right.
That why wasn't that stopped?
Right.
Why was that allowed? You know, there really are no rules. There's no guidelines. I'll give another example, and this will probably rub most of my viewers the wrong way, because Stumpy Nubs is a top channel. Like when I look at the statistics and it says, you know, what are the other channels that people watch? It's
number one for me.
It's yeah. I can't remember where you're at, but you're high in the list. But Stumpy Nubs is high up there. He had a video recently about a tip that would end dado blades, dado stacks. So, and I put a very long comment on this video, starting with "Dear fellow woodworkers," but he has a it says something like this tip may end dado blades, dado stacks, and what he's doing is using fence shims. You know, one shim that's the width of the blade. This is an
okay, sure.
You know, right. I mean, I don't know when the first time I saw this trick, but it's probably in the 1990s in some magazine.
Ancient.
But you take a shim that's the width of the saw blade, and then you take the piece that's the width of the dado you want to make. You put that against the fence. You make your first cut, and then you put the shim in, make the opposite edge cut, accounting for the width of the dado blade. Then you clear out the material.
Right.
And he's saying it requires no special blades, no shims. Well, he's talking about it doesn't require any shimming for the dado stack itself,
as he uses a shim.
but as he's using two shims and also tape to additionally shim the width to get it exactly to the width of your blade. And he's also using a FTG flat top grind ridge carbide blade, which I consider a special blade.
Yes.
And it's not anything I would recommend. You know, anyone with any experience working with plywood veneers, right? I mean, that stuff's ornery. I mean, well, when you cross cut it. So if you're going to make a cross cut dado with a FTG blade, yeah, you're going to struggle with tear out.
Yeah.
And also, but this trick really does work. I mean, like if you have a board that's 3 to 4 inches thick and you want to cut either a dado or let's say a tenon on the end, this could be a time saver, right? The quality may not be what you want because of either one, you're going to have to use an alternating bevel blade to slice across those veneers. Well, that's going to leave you a bottom that's not quite clean, or you're going to use an FTG blade, which will leave a clean bottom.
Crosscut, right?
But if you're cross-cutting across, especially plywood veneers, you're going to have a really ratty-looking cut. Now, but then also, what about like if you're building a cabinet? One of the ways we can build a cabinet is we could put rabbets all the way around the sides, right? And then we could, the top and the back kind of get sandwiched in, and you know, especially if you're making a Euro style cabinet. That's how I build cabinets because I think it's the easiest. And lots of glue surface and shoot a couple brads in there just until the glue dries, as
right.
Norm Abram used to say. And then after the glue dries, you can pull those out.
Pull those brads out.
Pull those brads out. Well, are you going to, on a 24-inch deep cabinet that's, 36 inches tall, are you going to make multiple passes to make that rabbit? I mean,
Not a chance.
it's probably not really practical. So you're not going to end dado blades there. You're not going to end the cleanness of how a dado stack is designed, where the outer blades have those. It's not alternating bevel; it's one direction, right? And they slice right through the crosscuts of those veneers. Not perfect every time, but it's going to be way better than that ripping blade. And I'm going on and on here, and if people want to know more, they can go find my comment on his video. But my point is that in the comments, people congratulated James Hamilton on just being a wonderful educator. In my opinion, that video was misleading. If you're a new woodworker and you're seeing this and saying, "Oh, well, this is
I don't need a dado blade.
a total replacement for a dado stack. Why would I need to spend money on a dado stack? Why would I need to spend money on a table saw that can accommodate a dado stack? Maybe I'll go and I'll get that little cheap table saw that can't use a dado blade." Right. So now I've made decisions and I've invested money, and I've been led to believe that I can go buy your standard, no special blade, right? I could go buy your standard blade and I can live without a dado stack. And maybe you could live without a dado stack. But the truth is that for what, 60, 70 bucks, 80 bucks for a dado stack, it's a fantastic investment.
Absolutely.
So I just felt like the video was misleading. So what is the standard of etiquette? That's my question. That's a question I want to explore in my next channel. How do you do a monetized channel? What are the rules I should set for myself to make sure I'm being ethical? There's a podcast called Clamp who mentioned my final video, and they released it earlier today. And Grant Alexander, I'm going to get the names wrong here unless I look it up. But anyway, Grant Alexander is on, as well as two other YouTubers, and they were speaking about this same topic in terms of.
By the way, so is it the Grant Alexander?
Well, the Grant Alexander is the name of his channel.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that that's on his birth certificate.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the over there.
I think it's Grant Alexander. So anyway, check out the podcast that they released this morning. It's an interesting discussion about this topic, YouTube and integrity, and what type of advertising deals do you accept, and what impact does it have on the integrity of the content that you're creating? And I think that that's an interesting question.
Topic. It's very good. Well, I'll show some things sometimes and put a link to it. And I don't share a lot of stuff because I don't want it to feel like, hey, this video is to get you to click on a link to something.
Yeah.
That video that I did with all of my works tools, which by the way, isn't all my works tools now, was not about getting people to go buy a bunch of works tools. But well, maybe in a sense it was kind of like how we feel about shops with tools. If you're selling the tool short, then maybe you ought to consider them. But I don't care if they go down and click on the link. It's nice if they do.
Right.
But there's so many things, like I think I did in a video, I talked about this drill, which happens to be sitting here on my dining room table because I was just using it.
Yeah.
There's no affiliate link for this, right? And I think I even mentioned that in the video, that I think this is a tremendous value, even though it is opening the door to yet another platform for batteries and things. But it is a struggle because, I've had people who commented on a video that said something completely unrelated that I had used and said, "Oh, I'm glad to see that you're using that. Here, I have a ratcheting ball driver. That ratcheting ball driver, I've been looking for one of those, and good to see that you approve of it," or something like that. It's like, I didn't endorse this.
Yeah.
I used it, and I don't know that you can find this one anymore. So, if we only are going to show those things that can make us money, then I don't know. I'm certainly a capitalist, but there's a point. Come on, where the drill that you own, when you bought it, it did everything you thought you needed a drill to do. And it's still doing all those things that a drill needed to do. And maybe the new one has a laser or something on it that would be nice to have, but do you need to have that? It seems like some of these channels, it's about, hey guys, you need to throw away your drill this afternoon because I'm going to show you the next best thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's just a hamster wheel that we're getting on.
Well, as we talked about, for some people, the tool ownership and the tool collecting is their hobby.
Yeah.
So if you're that kind of guy and your cordless drill is 5 years old, maybe it's time for you to upgrade
or gal, if you're one of the 3% of the channel watchers that are.
That's true. I should be more inclusive. So the question, it's like this, going back to the Stumpy Nubs video, if you kind of hover over it, maybe most people don't know this, but in the top left corner, it'll say includes paid promotion. That's a checkbox that we as content creators are obligated to check on if our video includes paid promotion. So it's not very obvious. I think that's something that YouTube is asking people to put on there, but it comes up, it's like a split second and it goes away. Most people probably won't even notice it. Do we have content creator have more of an obligation to ensure transparency when we say, here's a link? By the way, it's an affiliate link, right?
Yeah. Right.
Some people do, some people don't. So I think, like, here, I'll ask your opinion. What's the difference between an educator and a salesperson?
Well, a salesperson, they're both, in some sense, they're influencers. One of them, the content that they're wanting you to learn is the thing that you're receiving that is the value, where a salesperson is trying to encourage you to purchase something that would then bring value.
Right. So would a salesperson be expected to talk about both the pros and the cons?
Expected depends upon the salesperson, right? The company that I work for, and I'm a trainer for them, I teach them that it's critical that if you know the customer has a need that our product doesn't meet, you have to address that. You have to say, by the way, just so you know, this isn't available in pink. I know that that's critical to you, but it does check these boxes that you said were also important. Now you tell me, if you think you can live without it being pink, then we got a bunch of them in our warehouse. But otherwise, I don't think it's ethical to sell somebody something and you're hiding from them the fact that there's some feature that they're going to be disappointed with, or a feature that they think the product is going to have. For example, my Bosch dishwasher. We bought a Bosch dishwasher in the middle of the pandemic, and we were thankful to finally get it, only to find out it doesn't have a drying cycle.
Yeah, right.
How do you make a dishwasher without a drying cycle? That's insane. It uses some evaporative, it's voodoo. Anyway, it doesn't dry dishes at all. Not a word was said about that when we went and were looking at dishwashers. Oh, here's a really nice one.
Right.
Very popular, sold by Bosch, blah, blah. And who would think to say, by the way, does this car include wheels? It's
right.
It's a drying cycle. So yeah, that was one of those things where I was a little ticked off that that was withheld from me, and I felt duped.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and well, we've had Bosch dishwashers here in this house and then in our condo before, and the idea is that because they are a full stainless steel cabinet, they're supposed to help evaporate,
attract the moisture.
Yeah. help evaporate. Whereas if it's one of these plastic cases, not only are they loud, you have to add a heating element in order to dry it.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of superheats the water too. So it takes your hot water and heats it up even more as it's working. I'd never had a Bosch dishwasher before. So I didn't know that.
But I think common. Your point is valid. And I think I'm trying to ask that question. I'd like to have a channel where I'm an educator, but I'm also going to have some sort of commercial element to keep up with YouTube, right?
Sure.
How do I do that ethically?
Ethically.
How do I make sure that I'm an educator? I'm not crossing the line into salesman. Is it being transparent about when there's a monetary motivation on my end? Is it making sure that if I'm going to say, well, here's a shop fox hand plane, that I talk about its pros and its cons, to make sure that I'm giving the full picture of information, like we talked about with the pink hinges.
Yeah, I think you do, Tom, what you feel is right, and what you feel is right will not be enough for some people, and it'll be way more for some people. Like, why is he even bothering mentioning this? Right.
Yeah.
So, but you have to sleep with yourself at night, and I know darn well that if I reach for something in a video, just like I used to when I was in the academy, if I reach for something, a rawhide mallet, and I use it, somebody is going to be observing that and then making an assumption that this is something that is worth having. So there are times where I will pick something up and I'll say, by the way, for a job like this, I do use a rawhide mallet. You could use another type of mallet or something like that, but it does have these advantages. Now, yeah, YouTube requires us to disclose in the video description that these are affiliate links. They don't require it audibly in the video, and I rarely talk about that anymore, because I don't even think about what am I going to link to until I'm editing the video. And
Right.
like, oh, there's something somebody might be interested in, But if you're thinking about that, I guess for me, what I don't want to do is I don't want to go wandering through the hardware store thinking, what can I talk about that I can then link to?
Right.
That feels dirty to me.
Well, right. So what the affiliate link could create a motivation for someone to scour Amazon, not for tools that they think are going to enrich their craft as a woodworker, but for tools that they think people might want to buy. And they could come up with these series of videos that are the top 5 cheapest tools on Amazon. Right.
Yeah. I'm so tired of those.
The top 5, the top 5 cheapest tools from Banggood or what have you.
Right.
These
hey, there's a whole channel about that, right?
Well, I think that's that's a guy who, if we're both thinking about the same guy,
Dennis from Hooked on Wood.
Yeah.
With his Chinese series.
Yeah, I think he bought one of these tools that he was going to use, and the video blew up, and he was just motivated to keep creating that same content, whether he needed that tool or not.
I think or hope that his reviews are fair and honest at the end. My understanding is that Banggood, if you don't give it X number of stars, that there's some kind of naughty list they put you on. So if you want to get free samples, you better give this thing, however many 4 stars. And
really?
that is my understanding about how Banggood's, sampling and discounts and things work for content creators.
Huh. Well.
So maybe there are some things that Dennis has used that, if he's being honest, it's a 2-star and it doesn't end up in any of his videos.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he just leaves it off. But that, I guess that's my point about the profit motivation. And you're saying like, you're going to walk through the hardware store and you're not really looking for something that, gets your job done.
Right.
You're looking for something that makes a good video, creates content, and potentially will create revenue through affiliate links. So like one thing I thought about in my next channel, if it's a woodworking channel, is I could set up a rule for myself, is that I can only give affiliate links to tools that I already own at the time I start the channel. Right. So I've already,
you better go shopping, my friend.
Well, but I've got a ton of tools.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't set a rule like that,
well,
because you might find the killer tool, and if you don't give an affiliate link to it, that is whatever the percentage that Amazon's willing to pay as a finder's fee that Jeff Bezos is going to keep in his pocket.
sure.
It doesn't take anything out of the pocket of the buyer. So come on, don't set that kind of rule for yourself.
Well, what I'm doing is these are thought experiments, right?
I
These are
know, I
like,
know.
how would I keep myself honest, right? Because
Yeah,
YouTube's not going to keep me honest.
no,
I don't think the viewers, I think we've gotten to a point where um most of the comments on YouTube are so extremely positive and non-critical, right? So like when you do say, well, hey, that's not quite right, I'm wondering if that's exactly, you even the mildest um kind of question,
yeah.
technical question about what has come on can trigger that content creator to come back at you with a bunch of insults.
Oh, I did that on a John Heiss video, left a comment, and he just tore into me like I had just insulted his mom. And that wasn't my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a longtime subscriber and frequent praiser of his content. And it just like I must have hit him on a bad day.
On YouTube platform, when you're looking at your homepage and you're getting recommendations, there's a little 3 dots stacked on top of each other, and that'll expand a menu, and you can flag a video as not interested, or you can flag a channel as do not recommend channel.
Yes.
John Heiss is the first time I learned how to use that do not recommend channel.
Was he upset about somebody using the word bug? Did you hear about that? He got tired. It was either him or Mateus got tired of people commenting about a spider or a bug.
Yeah, that was in his
crawled across a
mousetrap.
bench.
That was in Matthias's mousetrap.
Okay, and so
no, I still watch
just
Matthias.
put that in one of his banned words list. So if you type the word
Yeah.
bug,
Oh, so what?
you see it.
Yeah, so the reason I blocked John Heiss is because he started a second channel, which was basically a meta channel about his channel, right?
Yes.
So it's like, what he's thinking about, how
Scrapbox or something like that.
Yeah, whatever.
Scrapbox.
And he had a video where he basically, in my opinion, insulted all of his viewers in a rant, because he was saying that people were coming to the second channel and saying, well, where's the build video? Why aren't you building any more projects? I really like your build projects. Can you do more build projects? And this was upsetting him because this channel was not about building projects. This channel was about him talking about his channel, right? It had a different purpose. And so, he basically called all of his viewers idiots and dummies, and, they can't tell the difference between the two channels. And what he doesn't realize is it's not the viewer who can't tell the difference between the two channels. It's YouTube can't tell the difference between two channels.
Right.
Because as a woodworker, I might want to watch his woodworking content. And so I click on that. Now, we talked about this earlier in the conversation. YouTube now has a profile of me as someone who wants to watch John Heiss content. So when other people who watch his main channel watch his second channel, YouTube starts to believe that I also want to watch him complain for 40 minutes about life.
Right.
And I don't. And so
or about people leaving recommendations.
Right.
I don't need your recommendations. I know more about woodworking than he's
So I basically had so what he was saying is that you're an idiot. You don't know the difference between the two channels. No, it's not the viewers. It's YouTube doesn't know the difference between the two channels, because as someone who's a woodworking content viewer, they're going to be recommended that content. They're going to see his face in the thumbnail and click it, thinking this is I Build It CA or whatever.
Right.
They're maybe not going to feel obligated to read the title and the channel title and the description, which you can't read the description before you watch the video, which is something I think YouTube should change. We should be able to see the description before we click the video.
At least when Stumpy does one of his vlog style things, he says that right up front on a still card that he'll be doing a lot of yapping.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so I blocked it for that reason, because I just like someone with that negative view of humanity and just willing to attack people for what is basically a misunderstanding, right?
Right.
Do I need to learn anything from him?
Well, anything he says is really clever, everyone will be repeating in the next few weeks. So no. Did you ever watch the channel that he had with Mateus?
Yeah, I did.
That he ended up, I guess Mateus changed the locks in the door of the channel or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know what's interesting is Mateus has a second channel. Mateus may actually have 2 second channels. I'm not quite sure, but I enjoy watching his core working content. And every once in a while, I will click on his second channel. One recent he had, he was originally an employee of Research in Motion, RIM, who were the BlackBerry people, pre-iPhone dominance. And they made a movie, a documentary or docudrama about Research in Motion, and he was asked to view it. So I saw that, and I'm a software developer, and that's sort of a topic that interests me, the history of the devices. And I thought, I'll watch this one. I know it's not woodworking, but I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. I watched that video. I didn't see the movie, but I watched that conversation. Should I have him on the channel?
Hey, if you can get him, I think you should. Steve Ramsey interviewed, I think, Mateus twice.
Yeah.
And I think he makes a great interview. I mean, he's very opinionated, but I don't think he's nasty about it. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the difference where I draw the line between John and Mateus is they're both opinionated guys, and they both have these really firm beliefs about, why they're right. But I don't think Mateus is just not nasty about it, All
right. So then you don't need to ever watch the video where he's at John's shop looking over John's homemade bandsaw.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I watched.
They were ribbing each other pretty good, and I think that John's sense of humor left him.
I saw the one where they were testing their long reach clamps, right? They both had built long reach clamps. And it was clear to me that Mateus was going into it with sort of a good-natured locker room type ribbing.
Right.
As people tend to do. And I remember there was a follow-on video at some point where Mateus sort of answered some criticisms about, well, why are you guys fighting? And Mateus is like, we're not really fighting. We're just, we've set up this friendly competition about these silly clamps, and we're just having a good time, So, so I don't know, but you can't take that too far, right? You can ultimately hit a nerve, and you gotta be careful.
So once some time passes, the girls are in school, you got some chores done at home, and you're thinking to yourself, gee, I'd love to trip over to the tripod again in the shop. What sort of thing are you thinking about? Would you do projects again?
Well,
would you?
I might. So I'm a software developer. I've been in building applications focusing in geographic information systems, which is you will commonly hear that called GIS. It's digital mapping. I've been in that since 1997, and programming in that I've since in recent years moved into natural language processing and AI modeling and things like that. And I have a tremendous amount of skills in that domain. So one of my thoughts is to actually do a channel on that topic, because I do have, I think I I don't want to say I'm the best programmer in the world. I'm not, but I have some mastery of that topic.
Mhm.
So wouldn't it make sense if I'm trying to market a product to
Right.
come at it with the thing that I spend 40 to 60 hours a week for the last 35 years doing,
Sure. No, absolutely.
right? Versus something that I do as a hobby. And I said I'm a student of woodworking, and oh, by the way, I did cast myself as the student in my Woodshop Nerdery channel. I
Mhm.
always approached it from the point of view of a student. And it was interesting how people reacted to that. I think they sort of thought I was a new woodworker, like the second I turned on the camera. Um, people giving helpful suggestions. But people, so, people would say, well, why didn't you
Oh
do it this way?
gosh.
Well, it's because I don't own that tool. It's like
Right.
I don't have um uh, a track saw. I mean, I can't cut it
Yes.
with a track saw. But I wouldn't get into that discussion. I would just say, hey, that's a great suggestion, right? Um, so could I cast myself as the master in a channel that covered some of my software development skills?
Yeah.
And
Interesting idea.
would people find that valuable? Um, if I were to do another YouTube channel, I think for woodworking or home improvement or something related to that, I would not feel comfortable casting myself as a master, but I think I would try to draw a distinction between a new student and an advanced student, because I
Right.
think I'm at least by this point, I think I'm an advanced student.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people who could have built the Hans Wegner chairs.
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know,
let's also admit that you limited your potential audience when you said the word shopsmith.
that's something I was not prepared for.
Crazy.
I was
Absolutely
not
crazy.
prepared for that. I knew that
Yeah.
there was a hunger. I knew that there was a hunger for shopsmith when I released my first 3 videos.
Sure.
The advice I got was to create 3 videos and release them all the same day. I don't know if that was good advice or bad advice.
No, it's good advice.
I knew that there was a hunger for shopsmith equip for content, but I didn't know it would dominate the viewership. So I think, like, I'm not a shopsmith channel.
Right.
I'm a general topic woodworking channel,
Absolutely.
but the shopsmith topic had to dominate because that's what people were watching. Those are the questions people were asking. So when I was getting feedback from the audience and thinking, hey, I think I'll answer that question, it was a shopsmith question.
Yeah.
So as soon as I mentioned shopsmith in the first channel, the first video, hundreds of shopsmith people went and watched it. I am now locked into the YouTube algorithm as a
Yep.
shopsmith channel. And
Yep.
I don't really regret that. I don't really think that that's a bad thing. That community needed someone to serve them. So I don't regret it. I think it ultimately turned out to be a good thing, but I wasn't prepared. But I could tell early on that the channel got locked into
Yep.
a shopsmith audience.
You absolutely get pigeonholed. Yep. And then we also, what we were talking about even earlier, you get somebody who sees that occasional video about they're big time into Harry Potter, and they see these really cool wooden things that you can build from fence components, and then they hit the subscribe button and never watch another video. Right. So,
Yeah.
even when you were doing something that wasn't shopsmith related, focused, right? Which again,
Yeah.
your channel's not been focused on. Let me show you how to use your horizontal boring. Although you've done some great videos on that topic. Yeah, it's just frustrating. I don't know how to break out of that mold, and I don't intend to on my channel. I'm not trying to, but the day will come. I'll need to launch a second channel as well. I don't expect to end this channel, but yeah, if you want to have success with the greater population of DIYers, as soon as that algorithm or people's attitudes click in that, oh, this guy's using Shopsmith, it's all over. You know, I posted more or less a short today where I was using a Works saw.
Mhm.
It was the only saw that I had handy that could handle the task, and I was thrilled that I remembered that I had it. And I got comments about, you know, that's just a piece of garbage.
Yeah,
It did the job? What do you mean piece
right,
of garbage? Well, you know, you should have used a Pro Tool. Well, I don't have that Pro Tool.
right,
I'm not, like,
right.
you got one cut to make. I'm not
Yeah,
going to buy a Pro Tool. You know, why? Who's comparing it to a Pro Tool? It wasn't me. So,
yeah,
well, if you do go down that road, God bless you, my friend. That would be interesting to watch. I mean, I've been playing around with AI. I think it's fascinating,
yeah.
and you
Well,
know,
it's a
a
hot
lot of
topic right
folks.
now,
Yeah,
and it'd be a chance for me to learn more. But then again, I don't know for sure. I mean, what I'd really like is to convince my employer to let me do a channel for them on
sure.
AI, and let pay me to help them build a reputation around that. And I've made some suggestions there as well. So again, I'm not really sure what the future holds. It could be any number of things, but I do think, as for all the problems we sit here and complain about YouTube, it is a very effective tool.
Yeah,
Um, you know, we talk about, being pigeonholed and the challenge with getting your video to the people who want to see it. But the reality of it is if it wasn't for YouTube, no one would see it,
right.
right? We
Yep.
we would be typing long form prose into some forum somewhere. um,
Yep.
these days we could have Chat GPT create that for us. But I don't know. I mean, we're going to get to a point where Chat PT writes the book and Chat GPT reads the book,
Reads
and
critiques
nobody else
it.
cares.
Well, you know, after it determines that we've outlived our usefulness, and
Yeah. Uh,
well, hey, before we wrap up, and I'm sensing we're probably close to that. I wanted to thank you not only for your content, but for the reminder of books that I had on my bookshelf that I once valued and had forgotten, and for some of the joy of woodworking that you have shared with us that is infectious. I love my Shopsmith tools, and it's fun to see them through someone else's eyes. And
yeah.
that's been a lot of fun coming along on your journey with your purchase of your Mark 7
Mhm.
and your conversion of your 510 to a shorty, and all these things that you've been doing. I just wanted to make sure that you heard from me how much I've really appreciated that. So thank you for sharing
Yeah,
with us.
you're welcome, and that's great to hear. I really appreciate hearing that. Um, I was really overwhelmed with the response that I got on the final video. It was well viewed, and many people commented with some similar comments to the comments that you made. One of the most surprising was, over and over, people again said, "Thank you, I learned so much.
Mm.
I learned so much. I learned so much." And that's so strange to me because I never set out to teach anybody anything.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was just it was a blog type channel where I was
Yeah.
doing something with the camera pointed at it. I never set
Yeah.
out and said, "This is how you drill a
Right.
hole."
But
In
you
fact,
taught that it was doable.
yeah, I guess so.
That's what people picked up on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they learned by example. But I never set out to teach anybody anything. But I guess I did. I mean, that is the most popular comment.
You really can route on a Mark 5.
Sometimes.
Well, hey, I'm glad that others share that opinion, because I think that you did. I think you did teach some folks some things. So good for us and good for you.
Right.
All right. So let's wrap this up. Tom, we
Sure.
will see you around the water cooler, And if anything exciting and new breaks in the world of Shopsmith, you'll be the first I'll call, and maybe we'll turn a camera on as we have that conversation. Thank you for your friendship and for hanging out with me this evening. And for the rest of you, make it a great day.
Thank you.